Story 1. The best advice is to communicate openly and honestly. Talk about your feelings, listen to your partner, respect their boundaries, and support each other. A healthy relationship is built on trust, understanding, and joint efforts. Story 2. Trust is hard to earn, easy to lose, and nearly impossible to regain. I have been sharing this with people for decades. Do not betray your partner's trust. Once you do, you will never fully regain it. Story 3. Few things. Accept your partner as they are, and don't get caught up on aspirational ideas of what your partner could be. It can be harmful to a relationship to constantly compare and focus on what you might be missing or the shortcomings of your partner. It is normal and okay for people not to fulfill every expectation you have. Don't take everything personally or assume intentions. You may find your feelings hurt or interpret their actions as more inconsiderate or unkind than they truly are, which does not benefit either of you. Be more comfortable asking for things or discussing your needs. Often, we hope our partner will just know what we want or need without having to mention it. We might think they should already understand how to do something for us or what might hurt us. A vital lesson is to learn how to ask for what you need from them gracefully rather than placing uncommunicated expectations on them. It is also important to forgive perceived slights when they genuinely did not share the same perspective you did. Story 4. Be prepared to learn to love the new person you will be in a relationship with as time goes on. People change. If you want a long-lasting relationship, you must commit to loving your partner and embracing their evolution. They should do the same for you. This does not include situations such as becoming abusive or starting substance abuse. Story 5. Know yourself first. Be comfortable with yourself first. Then, when you find someone with whom you are comfortable being yourself, ensure you communicate everything and are honest with yourself. Story 6. Praise in public, criticize in private. The joke you make about your partner in front of your friends may be more hurtful than you think and could cause deep resentment. Story 7. When was the last time you said, "I was wrong, sorry"? If you can't remember, that is probably a problem. Story 8. My best tip after almost 35 years of marriage is that you have to genuinely like the person you are with. Love can fade over time, so you need to appreciate qualities in your significant other. Their sense of humor and how they treat others, like store clerks or waitstaff, is important. When you're first dating, you might overlook their faults or think they will change. Usually, that doesn't happen. So, you need to not only love them but also like them and enjoy spending time together. I believe that being friends first, then lovers, leads to the best relationships that typically stand the test of time. Story 9. In relationships, love is less important than liking someone. We make better decisions when we are not blinded by deep emotions. Liking your partner means being able to be respectful, honest, and trustworthy. Story 10. Honestly, it takes a lot of work to maintain a healthy relationship, but it is worth it to build a strong, lasting connection. One tip I can share from my marriage is to be sensitive to each other's energy. If you notice your partner is irritable, try to meet them with a calmer energy to diffuse the tension. It should also work the other way around to prevent both of you from exploding in anger at the same time. Story 11. Learn when to apologize or admit fault, but take note of how the other person reacts when you do this. Are they forgiving and understanding, or do they take pleasure in having a temporary advantage over you? If it's the latter, reconsider the situation. Story 12. Just open up to each other. Pretending to be okay when you are not is a recipe for disaster and serious misunderstandings. Story 13. The Justin McElroy rule. You should be giving a 60-40 effort in your relationship, but both of you should strive to be the 60. Story 14. Be willing to accept internally that you are sometimes wrong and also verbalize to your partner that you were wrong. Do not expect your partner to do the same. You may be surprised at how difficult it can be, which is why you shouldn't expect it from your partner, as that can create resentment. However, it becomes easier once you have done it a few times. I am not suggesting you take the blame for everything that happens, but when it is your fault, have the courage to admit it. Story 15. I see many people mention communication, but it has become so overused that its meaning is often forgotten. If you have doubts about a relationship, it's important to express them, even if it could lead to its end. Are you attracted to someone else at work? Do you dislike their family? You need to communicate these feelings. In most cases, addressing issues early will result in a better outcome than hiding them from the other person and yourself. Story 16. My wife and I have a motto. You have to have a laugh. We laugh and joke with each other all the time, and we have been married for more than 35 years. It just seems to keep getting better. Story 17. Have fun with your significant other. Be silly and stop taking everything so seriously without being irresponsible. You will both be much happier in the long run. Life is too short and we have no guarantees after this. Enjoy your time and just have fun. Genuinely fall in love with each other and cherish all the moments you have together. Story 18. Ask the big life questions early. Kids, lifestyle, and more. It may hurt the honeymoon phase, but saves you heartache. Story 19. Do not try to win an argument with your partner. If one person wins, both of you lose. Focus on understanding the problem and solving it together. Story 20. Never allow resentment to fester in your relationships. When that happens and neither of you do anything to fix it, it's game over. Story 21. 1. Communicate and comprehend. Respect begets respect. Space and autonomy will play a vital role. Story 22. Spend time apart and keep some separate hobbies. There is no need to do everything together. Nothing can burn you out faster than spending every waking moment with someone. Story 23. I believe there is significant emphasis on doing the appropriate things in a relationship, with the idea that correct behavior, thoughts, or feelings will help the relationship flourish. Personally, I feel that kindness is one of the most important elements in a relationship. Whether it is patience, giving the benefit of the doubt, or simply saying thank you, these actions can mean everything in taking the right step toward a better relationship. Story 24. Even the best relationships require a considerable amount of effort. Expect ups and downs, but be willing to move past them together. Story 25. Remember that your expectations may not align with your partner's. If something is important to you, address it before becoming upset. For example, discuss your definitions of infidelity, your financial situation, and your goals. Story 26. Just be honest with each other. Be honest when you fail, when you get angry, when you are sad, or when you need help. Story 27. One half is communicating, while the other half is the person willing to accept and listen to that communication. Story 28. Communication is key. Talk about what bothers you and discuss what is good. Avoid yelling, offending, and fighting. Instead, aim to explain your thoughts as comprehensively as possible. Story 29. View arguing as an attempt to resolve a difference rather than to win. It should be based on the understanding that neither person is bad or intentionally mean, but for some reason, one or both may feel that a boundary was crossed. This approach transforms arguments from escalating by digging up past grievances to constructive dialogue, such as acknowledging, I understand you didn't mean to be overbearing, but do you see how asking me what I was doing every 7 minutes felt overwhelming? If either person is unwilling to accept that the situation likely was not a deliberate act of insensitivity, it indicates that the relationship is facing serious challenges. At that point, it is irrelevant what the specific disagreement is. There are more significant issues to address. Story 30. Don't become conjoined twins who have to do everything together. Accept the other person the way they are, with their own quirks, interests, and friends. Story 31. I recently got married. Something I told my wife early in our dating was, I don't want to go to bed angry, meaning let's work things out. I cannot tell you how often that was brought up by others during premarital counseling as a piece of advice. A lot of it is about having an open line of communication and being able to communicate and argue in a healthy way. Another important aspect is to never stop having date nights. They don't always need to be something expensive or extravagant, but you have to make an effort. Story 32. Your partner is not the issue. The issue is the issue, and your partner is there to address it with you. This approach is effective unless your partner exhibits abusive behavior. However, it can be beneficial if your partner displays problematic behaviors that you can discuss calmly. Story 33. Be genuinely attentive and considerate. These qualities go hand in hand. Observe details and offer loving actions to support, nurture, and highlight those observations. Key words: genuine and authentic. If you do this because you want to sincerely connect with and celebrate who your partner is, rather than just to appear as a thoughtful partner, you will create opportunities for a bond to flourish in profoundly meaningful ways. Story 34. Remember that needs in a relationship can change over time. Even if you think things are going well, regularly discussing your needs together can be very helpful. Story 35. I go by ECO, which stands for empathy, communication, and open-mindedness. Empathize and relate to those around you by understanding how they think and feel. Communicate honestly and clearly. This is often the most important aspect. Keep an open mind. Your approach may not be the best, and there may be better ways to consider. Be open to those possibilities. Story 36. Find activities you both enjoy doing together regularly. It doesn't have to be significant. Something simple that you can do on a day off works well. For example, my boyfriend and I like exploring thrift stores for treasure hunting. Story 37. The key to a healthy relationship is open and honest communication. Express your feelings, actively listen to your partner, respect their boundaries, and offer mutual support. Trust, understanding, and teamwork are the foundation of a successful relationship. Story 38. Something that I think has helped me build good relationships is listening to others and learning about the things they are into. With my son, it was Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Beyblades, Supernatural, and Linkin Park. If he was interested in something, I studied it so I could ask intelligent questions about his interests and have a good conversation. With my significant other, I learned a lot about fashion and makeup, and I came to appreciate nail art. I used to love going to the Mac or Sephora store with them, while other guys who got dragged in looked like they were walking the Green Mile. Strangely enough, I didn't care much for Victoria's Secret. I don't know why, but I did have to laugh when a friend was digging through the bin of panties, and I said, "You know, I have to wonder how many times those have been tried on before you started pawing at them." The look on her face was priceless. Story 39. You do not own your partner. Respect that they are a person and never try to take away their autonomy. Your partner does not owe you anything. Time, communication, or intimacy. If you want communication, earn it. Be someone they can talk to. This applies to both partners. Story 40. Realize early on that the world doesn't revolve around you. Be as kind, selfless, and giving as you can. Your partner does not have to be perfect or anywhere near perfect, but if they don't share your values and are not kind to animals, children, and people in the service industry, run like the wind. Story 41. Communication. Instead of making assumptions, ask. Instead of brooding, speak. Instead of taking things for granted, ask. But also, listen to others the way you want to be listened to. Story 42. Connect with each other's inner child. The child we once were is still within us. If we can access and acknowledge it, we find a lot of peace. The same applies when we connect with the inner child of another person. Story 43. Honestly, couples therapy can be beneficial. Even if you don't think you need it, consider it as an educational opportunity with a trained professional who can help you understand your communication styles and worldviews, as well as how to integrate them. Story 44. Know that you will experience disruptions in the relationship. Times when one or both of you feel hurt or angry. Do not avoid conflict. Avoiding conflict leads to a superficial relationship. Practice effective repair after a disruption. Sometimes you will need some time and space after a disruption to return to your partner with a desire to heal the hurt. Understand that different people require various amounts of time. Repair involves being open, honest, accountable, and willing to consider the other person's perspective. Every disruption that is repaired effectively fosters greater trust, allowing your relationship to become deeper and stronger. Story 45. Do a little extra something for the person every day. Meet them at the door. Bring them a cup of tea. Buy their favorite food when shopping. Small, regular actions strengthen relationships. Story 46. Always thank one another for doing little things, even if those things have become an expectation. Never stop appreciating what you do for each other. Story 47. When you get into a conflict, apologize and try to make amends, even if you believe you are in the right. Find a partner who will do the same. It doesn't matter how logical or correct someone may seem. Their feelings are still hurt. One person always needs to make the first move to reconcile and end the conflict. If neither of you is willing to do that, your relationship is on borrowed time. Story 48. Safety and emotion is essential for both them and you. Create a safe space for it. Emotions always come from a real place, and it takes genuine understanding to recognize where and how they arise. This process begins with ourselves. We cannot provide a safe space for someone else's emotions if we cannot create that space for our own. Often, this involves confronting our emotions and traumas directly, facing the issues we have never addressed and learning to manage them in healthy ways. It is not an easy journey, but it is one of the most important and worthwhile paths. The difficult lessons are often the ones we need the most. Story 49. Communication is key. Open and honest communication is essential. You can be truthful without being rude or condescending. Appreciate each other's differences and understand that you cannot change someone. Be mindful. If you notice your partner is tired or overwhelmed, take the initiative instead of asking how you can help. My husband is great at noticing when I am overwhelmed and steps in to assist. Remember that you are in a partnership, not a competition. Story 50. Realize that the majority of relationships in the world are not healthy, and creating a healthy relationship requires a tremendous amount of understanding, empathy, and sacrifice. Story 51. Don't try to win a fight or worry about who is right or wrong. Focus on communicating your perspective and being okay with disagreeing in most situations. Story 52. Never speak ill of your partner. When you put that ring on, you have committed to being their supporter for life. Story 53. When your partner tells you they want you to do something or that they do not like something, genuinely put in the effort to do it or not do it. This encourages them to be honest and communicate with you. Story 54. Never keep something inside you, pretending to just go on. As soon as you have something about your partner that bothers you, talk about it immediately or you will explode sooner or later. This is one of the reasons I broke up with my latest ex. Story 55. You can disagree on what television shows you like or what music you prefer, but you will never succeed in a long-term relationship if you are not aligned on important personal beliefs. The value of family, morals, financial attitudes, and how you choose to raise children, if you decide to have them, as well as whether or not you want to have children. A lasting relationship is a marathon, not a sprint. If you do not have those core pillars established, it is not going to last. Story 56. Learn how to apologize. This consists of two parts. First, it is important to recognize when you have done something that warrants an apology. Sometimes, actions you perceive as minor can be significant to your partner. This may be reasonable or not, and occasionally there is a deeper issue that requires attention, but now is not the time for that. Understanding the behaviors that hurt your partner for any reason is essential. Second, learn how your partner prefers to receive an apology. Some individuals are satisfied with verbal expressions, others prefer actions, while some desire a combination of both or something entirely different. Recognizing what your partner considers a genuine apology will help them feel that you are truly remorseful. Story 57. Take it with a grain of salt, but I married a girl whom all my friends said was a bad idea, and it was the best decision I ever made. Story 58. Talk, for goodness sake, talk. And listen, neither of you are mind readers. You need to reach a place where you can both share the unvarnished truth without hurting each other's feelings. Communicate effectively. Story 59. It is not just about communicating well. It is also about understanding how the other person communicates. My husband and I are both autistic, and sometimes we go nonverbal. Because of this, it is important for each of us to learn and understand each other's cues and nonverbal expressions. Story 60. For a healthy relationship, it is crucial to prioritize open communication. and both parties must commit to honesty and loyalty. Story 61. You do not need the other person. The other person does not need you. You are with this person out of free will, and so is the other person. Story 62. If you disagree with something, express your concerns and discuss it openly. Do not simply go along with it or push your partner into doing something you are uncomfortable with just to avoid addressing the issue. Story 63. Discuss it later instead of fighting about it now. Also, do not keep score. If you are doing nice things for your partner and expecting instant reciprocation, you will have a bad time. That is not how it works. Story 64. Don't try to force yourself to be someone you aren't, and don't try to push someone else into being someone they aren't. Many people get on the relationship escalator and believe it follows a progression. Dating, exclusivity, moving in, marriage, and children. However, if it's not working, going further up the escalator won't resolve the issues. If you identify an incompatibility, discuss it, and if it's not fixable, go your separate ways. Story 65. You don't need to do everything together. In fact, it's much better if you each have your own pursuits and pursue them independently. Never merge your personality. Story 66. Honesty is more than not lying to your partner. Be honest with yourself. Don't try to be something you're not because you think it will make your partner unhappy. Story 67. Spending time apart from each other is just as important as spending time together. Have your own hobbies, run errands independently, and spend time by yourself without feeling the need to involve your partner in everything. There are limits, but it is essential to create opportunities to miss each other, especially if you both work from home. Story 68. Never live with anyone. If she has her own place and you have yours, she stays in hers, you stay in yours, and you see each other when possible. Story 69. People often overestimate their efforts compared to others. As a result, many individuals believe they contribute more than half of the effort in a relationship. Therefore, if you think it is evenly split, it may actually be more like 45-55. Aim for a 60-40 balance and seek a partner who shares this mindset. Story 70. Respect, trust, and communication are more important than love. Love alone won't sustain a relationship without any of the other three. Additionally, each person should have their own lives and interests outside the relationship. If your entire life and personality revolve around your partner, you will eventually lose yourself and resent them. Story 71. While love is a feeling that is hard to explain and something you know develops over time and gets cultivated, love is also a choice. You have to wake up every day choosing to love your partner, even when it is hard. Story 72. I don't know why I come to these threads when I'm still dealing with the hurt of my last breakup. It's just self-flagellation at this point. Story 73. Communication is likely to be a common comment, which is normal because it is very important. However, for me, the aspect of friendship in a healthy relationship is essential. In addition to being your lover, your partner should be someone you choose first to engage in the activities you enjoy or to go on fun dates. Story 74. If you cannot trust your partner with everything you own, then your relationship is unlikely to work out. Story 75. Every week, have a sit-down meal in private where you discuss everything that bothers you and everything you liked about the past week. Problems never have time to fester, and you both develop the habit of addressing issues when they arise. Story 76. When you are looking for a partner or entering the dating scene, be true to the person you want to be. You will be happier when you are with someone who appreciates your authentic self. Story 77. Make no assumptions. Relationships require communication, not expectation. There will be things your partner does that annoy you. Do not expect that to change. You either accept them as they are or move on. Make agreements on how to deal with disagreements, then stick to them. Do not purposefully do something to make your partner sad or angry, and never assume they are doing things to purposefully make you sad or angry. If, after communicating, you find you or your partner are doing things with the intent to make each other sad or angry, then it's time to change the way you interact with each other or call it quits. Life is too short to live with someone who is trying to hurt you. Story 78. Make sure to become romantically and sexually involved only with someone you have known on a friend level for at least several months. Story 79. Keep open and honest communication, especially about difficult topics. Avoiding tough conversations and not being truthful can lead to destruction over time. Story 80. If you think you need to be in a relationship, you are not ready for one. The process of finding a relationship can feel cruel and grueling because you may lack the patience or self-worth for it to work out. If you do enter a relationship, it may not be healthy. You might fall in love with the idea of being in love rather than with the person. Focus on personal growth first. Accept yourself and be happy and satisfied with who you are. Learn to be your own best friend. By doing this, you will find it much easier to connect with someone and to develop a good, loving, and healthy relationship. Use advice from others to help maintain that relationship. Story 81. Choose a person you genuinely like who also desires a healthy relationship with you. You need to end relationships that feel unfulfilling. Most advice in this discussion is valuable, but I believe that one person alone cannot make a relationship work. Do not fall into the trap of thinking that doing the right things can turn an unhealthy relationship into a healthy one. If the other person prefers an unhealthy dynamic, it will inevitably fail. Additionally, they may not be the only issue. Perhaps you are codependent and do not truly love them. It is beneficial to work on and resolve problems, but many individuals tend to remain in situations for too long due to fear, obligation, or habit. Often, what they really need is someone different. Story 82. A relationship can only survive if the people involved possess all three of the following qualities: trust, respect, and loyalty. If your partner lacks any of these qualities, your relationship may struggle from the beginning. Story 83. This skill is used to communicate better with partners and works well in general. Give skill from dialectical behavior therapy. Gentle asterisk. Communicate in a kind, respectful, and non-confrontational manner, avoiding frustration, sarcasm, and anger. Interested asterisk. Show genuine curiosity and engagement in the other person's perspective and feelings. Validate asterisk. Acknowledge and accept the other person's feelings, thoughts, and experiences, even if you don't agree with them. Easy manner asterisk. Maintain a calm, relaxed, and approachable demeanor, using humor appropriately to create a comfortable atmosphere. It's not what you say, but how you say it. Story 84. Communication with your partner is essential, from small matters to significant issues. It is important to accept and forgive. Story 85. Never sign any legally binding, long-term document with another person. Marriage should be unnecessary if you love each other. Story 86. People talk about communicating honestly, which is important, but it is essential to also communicate that honesty with respect. There is blunt honesty that comes from anger or a lack of care for the person in front of you, and there is respectful honesty that is trauma-informed and considers how to offer constructive feedback with the intent to seek change together. Some individuals believe they are simply being honest, but their intent may be to cause harm or shame, which is a poor motivator for bringing about positive change in a relationship. That kind of behavior breeds resentment. Story 87. Thank your partner for their contributions. It doesn't matter if it's something established as their responsibility. Thank them for doing it. Even if it seems they have done nothing, if you feel lucky or content being with them and grateful for their presence in your life, thank them. Story 88. You are misunderstanding the situation if you think you are winning when you disagree with your partner. Sometimes a difference of opinion means one person has to concede, but just because one person concedes, it does not mean the other person wins. They simply get what they wanted. There is a difference. Story 89. Each partner should contribute 65% of the effort. Combine that with some reflective listening, and you are unstoppable. Story 90. Always seek connection. This can involve being engaged and present in conversations, doing small things to benefit others, asking for their opinions and advice on topics that interest them, and expressing appreciation for their qualities. Story 91. You can communicate as much as you want, but if you're not actively listening to your partner, then no amount of communication will help. You have to listen without judgment and pride. Listening isn't about waiting for your turn to speak. It's about hearing what they are saying, even if they aren't expressing it directly. This is challenging because we have to put our own issues aside in that moment. Story 92. Do not make assumptions and act on them. Ask directly and listen to the response and the words they are actually saying. Story 93. Communication and balance are key. Make sure you are with someone you can truly be yourself with and feel completely comfortable around. A healthy relationship begins with authenticity from the start, so do not mold yourself to fit their lifestyle or personality. You will not be able to maintain the act forever. Be genuine and true. Story 94. Don't sweat the small stuff. Choose your battles carefully. Seek contentment, not perfection. Story 95. Ensure you are raised in a positive environment that values communication and fairness. Story 96. Don't keep score. If you have to do the dishes 10 nights in a row, so be it. Your partner may have cleaned the bathroom 5 weekends in a row. Sometimes you cook dinners and sometimes your partner does. It will equalize to both people's comfort levels pretty quickly. Of course, the full disclaimer is that it requires good communication. We have friends who set up rules at the beginning of their relationships, such as whoever cooks the meals, the other does the dishes, or you do this task, I'll do that task. This always ends in resentment and anger. Inevitably, one person has to do more than the other, and it will never be fair. Source: I have been married for 21 years. Story 97. You are a team. If you are constantly arguing and trying to win, you will ultimately lose. You win together or you lose together. Every problem is something that should be tackled together so that you both come out on top. Story 98. For me, a woman should try to say nice things like, "You look pretty today," or "Do you need help around the house?" I know everyone has a crazy busy life with work and kids, but I always try to go on dates at least once a month. This applies to women as well. Men appreciate hearing that they smell good or look nice. If they are mowing the yard, you can help pick up things around the yard. At the end of the day, maintaining the house and completing the chores is a shared responsibility. Story 99. Effort in relationships isn't split evenly. It's more often 60-40ths. If both parties strive to be the 60%, most relational problems disappear. Story 100. My grandparents got married at 18 and 19 years old and remained married until my grandfather passed away at 84. He emphasized that communication is key. However, many people overlook an important aspect: having hard conversations. It is essential to be brutally honest with each other. Omitting details to spare feelings only leads to resentment and more pain down the road. These discussions strengthen your relationship. When difficult situations arise in life, those challenging conversations build a solid foundation of trust and understanding among loved ones. Stand by each other no matter the circumstances, until death do us part. Take it seriously. Nothing worth achieving is easy. Story 101. It is okay to feel annoyed. Take a walk, go for a run, or treat yourself to your favorite sweet. Return in an hour when you can think with a clearer mind. Story 102. A lot of good comments about communication. My favorite piece of advice that most therapists emphasize is to avoid using always when discussing an issue. Similarly, remember not to use never when talking about an issue. These terms limit the conversation, and it needs to be a dialogue, not just an airing of grievances. We consciously choose to address concerns using the phrase, "When you do specific behavior, it makes me feel specific feeling." Although it may seem a bit artificial, it encourages openness and expresses feelings rather than making accusations. Instead of saying, "You never ask me about my day," it is far more constructive to say, "When you share about your day but sometimes do not ask about mine, it makes me feel like you are not interested." Yes, there are times we might get angry and not treat each other as we should, but it is important to apologize and admit when we are wrong. Acknowledging your mistakes is key to a healthy relationship. Finally, do not keep score. It is one thing to be annoyed when someone leaves their dish in the sink once or twice, but it is different when it becomes a recurring issue that needs to be addressed. Just put it in the dishwasher or wash it. Not every little thing has to be a point of contention. Only when it becomes a symptom of something larger do we sit down and work it out, and then we do. Story 103. I have 3 points that make a significant difference. 1. It's never you against them. It's the two of you together against the problem. Both partners should aim for a balance of 60 to 40, with each striving to give more. If you live together, make it a habit to snuggle before bed every night, especially when you're upset with each other. Story 104. Relationships are about making mistakes and then repairing them. Everyone makes mistakes, but few are skilled at giving apologies. Admitting fault is both brave and kind. Accepting an apology, truly understanding it, and being able to move on with grace is also brave and kind. Blaming others or external circumstances creates exhausting drama. Story 105. If you are a man, I suggest finding someone who is a good cook, treats you well, and is also compatible in bed. Whatever you do, don't let any of them discover the others. Story 106. Find time apart from each other as well. Discover hobbies that allow you personal space away from your partner and encourage them to do the same. It is healthy to have independent time in your relationship and to cultivate friendships both with and without your partner. Just maintain open communication about your activities and plans, and you'll foster a strong relationship. Story 107. Going for daily walks, if possible, is very healthy. It is an opportunity to bond, relax, and benefit overall health, and it is free. It also makes conversation easier. Story 108. Please don't simp. Whatever he or she does that feels uncomfortable or disrespectful, tell him or her. Let him or her know that you're feeling uncomfortable or disrespected. I learned that the hard way. Story 109. Stop ending relationships every time one little thing goes wrong. It will happen every time. A relationship involves another person who has their own needs and aspirations, which may differ from yours at times. They, just like you, cannot read minds and may behave in ways that are not compatible with your needs and aspirations. The only solution is to 1. Know what you want from the other person. If you do not really want to have a relationship, you will never be willing to accommodate the other person in any way. Have clear boundaries. Most importantly, learn how to communicate constructively when things go wrong. These points do not apply to toxic relationships, which continuously harm you. In such cases, leave as quickly as you can. Story 110. Just accept that your partner sometimes needs alone time. It is never about you. It is about their psyche needing a recharge. Story 111. If you or your partner do not make a tangible change after a problem arises, it will come back to affect you both. Story 112. Space is healthy. Having time apart means you will enjoy the time together even more. Having separate nights or days out with friends can be beneficial. Story 113. Be patient and pragmatic. Disney romance can fade quickly. Lust can also vanish in an instant. Stay alert for signs, whether they are positive or negative, and recognize them for what they are. Be willing to invest in a relationship as much as you are in your own well-being. Remember, nothing makes you feel more lonely than someone who makes you feel alone. Story 114. You can go to sleep angry with each other. It is better to sleep it off than to argue or discuss things into the night when you are sleepy. Issues can escalate. Try again in the morning. Story 115. Do not run tests on people or be overly critical. It will not work if you are focused on finding something to dislike about them rather than trying to get to know them. It is also somewhat arrogant because while you are trying to prove that this person is not good enough for you, you have never considered whether you are good enough for them. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.